Hello, it's Dale here. Today I'm just going to show you my take on Nuno felting, and the reason is that in my which is coming up soon, my 12 days of Christmas special boxes for everyone's going to get a piece of Nuno felting to stitch on. I don't usually tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm starting to work on them. So the 12 days of Christmas is, you know, the box for you to open at your leisure, and you can read about it on our website under the treasure boxes. But to do my Nuno felting, and years ago I did a workshop with Polly Sterling, which was fantastic, and I learned so much. But I'm not, I'm not a dedicated felter by any means, and I just like to play around. So I'll just show you some of my samples. This is one where I've done Nuno felting using wool fibres for my background, just very fine, or the slushies, which have got a lovely, it's a mixture of silk and wool, and they're beautiful to work on, but they're basically for my background. So this one here has got wool on the bottom, and on the top I've got different sorts of fabrics. So I could use some velvet. When you Nuno felt, it shrivels up, so the fabric comes up, and you've got, this is a garden, I guess, for my house on the hill. And then you can add stitching and all sorts of things. So I've used silk, and there'll be maybe some cotton, certainly the chiffon or bits and pieces that I've had. And when you work it, you get the lovely texture. And then it's great for stitching into, if you are doing travel cloths or whatever you're doing. It's just a wonderful surface. And I've done a few different ones, which I'll show you. This is one where I've put some fine wool, put the wool down on the back. You can see the colours of the wool. I play around with different colours. It doesn't really matter. And then I've laid various things like chiffon, the Indian chiffon ribbons, the embroidered ones, and worked them into the surface. And then I've stamped an image onto it, which I've stitched. And so you can add to it and add your stitching and add your own things. And I keep, for instance, these are all my Indian chiffons, and I iron them out and card them up so they're all ready to use when I want them. Try and put them in colour codes, but you've got them, and they're wonderful to use in Nuno felting, because they grip the wool as you're felting it. And so these are sort of some of the bits that I have here in readiness when I want them. You have to be organised to do it and have to iron them, but it works well later on. And this is another one here that I've done. So you've got the wool background, and then I've put chiffon, silk chiffon hand-dyed on the top. So this is a bit of Kimberly Dreaming, and then I've added stitch to it, so it just becomes a little piece of its own. This is another one of these, which is a slight heavier. You don't need a lot of wool when you do this, but this one is a heavier one. So I put the pieces on, and you also can add things like scrim to it. So you could have scrim on the back, and Marjolaine silk is absolutely gorgeous to work into surfaces. So looking around for things that might go. This is another one here where I've put the organza, the chiffon down in strips, and then I've done a lot of stitching on it, but it's a great little background. So that's got the wool on the back, a bit heavy that it might be, but I do like the really, really light ones. And this one here is very light, and it's a baobab tree, which I've stamped onto the surface and then outlined to stitch. So I'm just sort of making up lots of these little pieces to put in everyone's special Christmas box with threads and an image of some sort. I'm still playing with it, so what you get, they'll all be different, and something from West Australia in these colours. And I've done a couple here, and so just mucking around, really playing with different things. And to do your stitching, I'll just take a bit of, to show you very quickly what I do. And I've got a piece of bubble wrap, and also very fine, and you could use lots of different fabrics with leaving spaces and so on, but for these I want to make them little pieces that you can work. So I just put my fibres down very gently, and make it a little bit big, so because it's going to shrink up, of course, as you know, all the technical details that if you're a proper felter, look the other way. I never ever say I'm a true felter. I just muck around it. So I put my fibres down, and then on the top, because I won't go do any, but I'll just say lay little bits of my chiffon or some margilin or whatever I've got, and just for my background, or bits and pieces, or even velvet, or whatever you've got in your kit. Then cover it with netting, water and soap it down, and then roll it until all the fibres have collected and caught, and you'll know when it's ready. And then you know, you can read more about Nuno felting from lots of other people, but this is just give you a little inkling of how I've been working lately. So I hope that's given you a few ideas. And then of course I've got the magical set of threads to stitch whatever you're doing. It's just nice to emphasize the background and to use it. So there, if that's given you some ideas, well, that's great. See you again next time. Bye.